John found himself alone in the heart of the Sentinel Oak, separated from his friends in the midst of a fierce battle with the monstrous Serpent of Shadows. He knew he couldn't leave them behind, and a fierce determination burned within him. He had to find a way to reunite with his friends and continue their quest for home. The passageway through the Sentinel Oak was dark and winding, and John's heart raced with each step he took deeper into the tree's ancient heart. The air grew colder, and the shadows seemed to close in around him. It was as if the Sentinel Oak itself was testing his resolve, challenging him to prove his worth. As he ventured further into the labyrinthine depths of the tree, John's mind raced. He knew that time was of the essence, and he needed to find a way to help his friends and defeat the Serpent of Shadows. He couldn't allow this terrifying creature to stand in the way of their journey home. Suddenly, he came upon a crossroads, a fork in the passageway. One path led further into the depths of the tree, while the other seemed to ascend towards the surface. John hesitated for a moment, torn between the urgency of reuniting with his friends and the possibility of finding a way out of the Sentinel Oak. With a deep breath, he chose the path that led upwards, towards the surface. He knew that if he could find a way out of the tree, he could potentially seek help or gather resources to aid in their battle against the Serpent of Shadows. The ascent was steep and treacherous, and John's muscles ached with each step. The passageway seemed to stretch on endlessly, and he felt a sense of isolation and unease in the oppressive darkness. But he pressed on, his determination unwavering. After what felt like hours, he finally emerged from the depths of the Sentinel Oak. He found himself in a small clearing, bathed in the soft glow of moonlight. The night air was cool and refreshing, a stark contrast to the suffocating darkness of the tree's interior. As he took in his surroundings, John realized that he was still deep within the enchanted grove. The towering trees loomed overhead, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. The enchanting sounds of the forest filled the air, the chirping of unseen creatures, the rustling of leaves, and the soft murmur of a nearby stream. Despite his isolation, John couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and wonder at the beauty of this world. It was a stark reminder of the incredible journey he had embarked upon and the remarkable friends he had made along the way. But he knew he couldn't linger. He had to find a way to reunite with Lyriel, Lumina, and Thistlewind and continue their quest for home. The battle with the Serpent of Shadows was far from over, and they needed to be together to stand a chance against the monstrous creature. With determination burning in his heart, John set off into the forest, guided only by the soft moonlight filtering through the trees. He moved cautiously, aware that danger could lurk in the shadows. Every rustling leaf and distant sound put him on edge, but he pressed on, driven by the hope of reuniting with his friends. As he ventured deeper into the enchanted grove, John encountered the challenges of survival. He found a small puddle of crystal-clear water and quenched his thirst, grateful for the simple pleasure of a drink. He spotted little purple mushrooms growing beneath the ferns and decided to try them. They were surprisingly delicious and provided nourishment for his journey. The forest was teeming with life, and John had to remain vigilant. The night brought new challenges. The temperature dropped, and John had to find shelter among the gnarled roots of a massive tree. He curled up, using the mossy ground as a makeshift bed, and listened to the sounds of the enchanted grove at night, the hooting of owls, the chirping of crickets, and the soft rustling of creatures in the underbrush. But it was during one of those nights that John heard something that piqued his curiosity. Voices, deep and loud, echoed through the air, carried on the night breeze. They seemed to be coming from deeper within the forest. With a sense of anticipation, John moved closer to the source of the voices, his heart pounding with fear and curiosity. He moved silently through the woods, guided by the echoing voices that seemed to grow stronger with each step. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the voices became clearer, and John could make out distinct words and phrases, none of them friendly. Though fear gnawed at him, John knew he had no choice but to follow the voices. His friends were in danger, and the answers he sought might lie with whoever or whatever was producing those ominous sounds. As he approached the clearing the voices were coming from, he could see a fire and 4 large beasts, standing on 2 legs and dressed like soldiers. Suddenly Jon is grabbed from behind and lifted into the air. Chapter 7 Betrayal in the Enchanted Grove. As he approached the clearing the voices were coming from, Jon could see a flickering fire and 4 large, ominous figures standing on 2 legs. They were dressed like soldiers, clad in dark armor that seemed to meld seamlessly with the shadows of the enchanted grove. Their eyes gleamed with a malevolent light, and their presence sent a shiver down Jon's spine. He paused at the edge of the clearing, hidden among the thick underbrush, trying to discern the nature of these strange beings and the voices that had lured him here. He had been following those voices, hoping for answers, but now he was beginning to realize that he might have stumbled into something far more dangerous. As he strained to hear their conversation, a cold, iron grip closed around his throat. Before he could react, he was lifted off his feet, his legs kicking at empty air. Panic surged through him as he realized that he was not alone in the underbrush. The hand that held him belonged to a tall, imposing figure cloaked in a tattered black robe. The hood concealed the face, but Jon could feel the figure's strength as it effortlessly held him aloft. He gasped for breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "You shouldn't be here," a raspy voice whispered from beneath the hood. "This is a place of secrets and power, and you are an intruder." Desperation overcame Jon's fear, and he struggled to break free. "Let me go. I mean no harm. I'm just trying to find my friends and a way back home." The figure's grip tightened for a moment, squeezing the air from Jon's lungs. Then, with a surprising gentleness, it lowered him to the ground. "Your friends? Home?" The figure seemed to consider Jon's words carefully. "You seek passage out of this realm?" Jon nodded, still gasping for breath. "Yes, that's right. Can you help me?" A slow, eerie chuckle emanated from beneath the hood. "Help you? Perhaps. But first, you must come with me." Without waiting for Jon's response, the figure turned and glided silently into the clearing. Jon had little choice but to follow, his curiosity mingling with trepidation. As they entered the clearing, the firelight revealed the full extent of the sinister soldiers' presence. 4 of them stood in a tight formation, their eyes fixed on a large, ornate tent that dominated the center of the clearing. The tent was adorned with dark symbols and shimmering tapestries that seemed to ripple with an otherworldly energy. The leader of the soldiers, a hulking figure with a cruel glint in his eyes, turned to face Jon and his mysterious captor. "Who's this, Dragon?" he grumbled, his voice dripping with malice. Dragon, the figure in the hooded robe, released a low, guttural growl that sent a shiver down Jon's spine. "An intruder," Dragon replied cryptically. "But also, perhaps, a means to an end." The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances, and the atmosphere in the clearing grew increasingly tense. Jon realized that he had stumbled into a situation far more dangerous than he could have imagined. Before he could speak or protest, a voice echoed from within the ornate tent, a voice that sent a chill through his bones. "Bring him to me." With that command, the soldiers seized Jon and dragged him toward the tent. He struggled, but their grip was unyielding. As they entered the tent, Jon's eyes adjusted to the dim interior, and he finally laid eyes on the malevolent ruler who controlled this magical realm. Seated on a dark, imposing throne was the queen, a figure of unparalleled beauty and cruelty. Her long, ebony hair cascaded down her back, and her eyes sparkled with an unnatural allure. She wore a gown that seemed to be woven from shadows themselves, and her presence exuded an aura of power and malevolence. "Ah, an unexpected visitor," the queen purred, her voice like silk laced with venom. "What brings you to my realm, mortal?" Jon swallowed hard, his fear tempered by a growing sense of determination. "I came seeking a way home, your majesty. I mean no harm to your realm or your subjects." The queen leaned forward, her piercing gaze fixed on Jon. "Home, you say? An intriguing proposition." She waved a hand, and the soldiers released their grip on him, allowing him to stand before her. "But what are you willing to sacrifice for your passage back to your world?" John hesitated, the weight of the queen's words sinking in. "I don't understand." "What do you mean?" A wicked smile played at the corners of the queen's lips. "I possess the knowledge you seek, mortal. I can open a portal to your world, but the price of such knowledge is high. You must prove your loyalty to me." Fear gripped John's heart as he realized the treacherous path the queen was leading him down. "What do you want from me?" The queen's smile widened, and her eyes glittered with a dark amusement. "You must betray your friends, those who accompany you on this perilous journey. You must lead them into a trap, where they will become Pryzo.